Okay, Finland, is this true? Because I just read it in the Romanian newspapers. I do not believe it. You got this Romanian journalist, which explains how it's like not paying your taxes in Romania. He talks about how by accident he forgot to pay the equivalent of $3 American, give or take €2.50. And because he forgot to pay those, the state locked his bank accounts. He couldn't have access to any of his finances. So he had to go through all the bureaucracy from public institution to public institution. And it took him 2 weeks to unlock his bank accounts, all because when he paid his taxes, he forgot to get those extra $3. And meanwhile, he talks about how a friend of his from Finland experienced something similar. He forgot paying his taxes. He legitimately forgot. It was 3 days overdue. And then a black car, it's like a black sedan, like in the movies, parks up in front of his house. And from it, he gets two people that look like those guys from Men in Black with very stern faces knocking at his door. And they introduce themselves. They're from the IRS, the equivalent of Finland. And the guy was like shocked. It's like, oh my God, I didn't pay my taxes. And he was about to say like, okay, I'll pay them right now. Because again, like when you're from Romania, you're traumatized about this. Like if you don't pay them when you're supposed to, and if you don't pay exactly how much you're supposed to, the government fucks you up. Like you don't understand. We live under a dictatorship here. Like all of our bank transactions go to the government. Like the government knows everything that you spend. And it encourages people to not use cash. Like if you want to buy in Romania something that's more than the equivalent of give or take $1,000, it's illegal. Like the store is not allowed to take cash if you want a transaction more than $1,000. So if you want to buy like an expensive television, if you want to buy an expensive fridge or a washing machine, you need to pay with a credit card. Like the money has to go through the bank every single time. When I went to the bank with cash, they looked at me like I'm a savage. It's like, what are you doing? You're paying with cash? So, this is also that the government just makes sure that everything you do is recorded. And with this in mind, I don't understand how corruption can exist in Romania. Because all the transactions are being followed, right? Like, we live under a fiscal dictatorship. And yet, there's still corruption. There's still people that are swindling. Fascinating, isn't it? But with that out of the way, like Romanians are traumatized by this. So you have this Romanian and you pluck him up from his environment and you put him in Finland and he wakes up with the IRS at his door. He thinks he's about to get fucked. But the IRS, apparently before he even manages to speak, says, well, we want to know if you need us to give you 6 months breathing room so you can pay your taxes. It's like going in a land where there's crazy people. It's probably what Robinson Crusoe thought when he met the Yahoos. It's like, what do you mean? Like you're asking me if I need like 6 months time to pay my taxes? And apparently, he could just say, yeah, sure, like give me 6 more months and they would allow him. As long as he signs a letter that he agrees to pay after 6 months. No freezing of the bank accounts, no threats, no fines. And then they asked him, it's like, is your business going poorly? Like, dude, this is something that the Romanian government will never ask me, ever. It's like, if my business is going poorly. I mean, again, like, this blew his mind. It's like, what, the government cares about me having a good business? Noni? So apparently, he wanted to pay, but like, this again blew his mind. Like, when he said, look, I can pay, the two IRS individual presented a POS device. So he could pay them right there. Do you know how difficult it is for me to pay my taxes? Like, I got two options. Either I pay them from home, but legend has it that there have been other people who used, like, the internet banking in order to pay. And because the system didn't register the payment on time, or maybe like they didn't complete the correct numbers or something happened, but the system didn't register the payment and they got fucked. So obviously you have to go in person to pay them. Now, there was a time where you couldn't use a credit card to pay, so you had to go with the stacks of cash. Imagine how safe you feel going around carrying money on you, on your person, like you're for the taxes for an entire year, by the way. In Romania, when minimum wage, like back then, when I used to go to the hospital to work as a resident doctor, I would get $300 per month. And imagine like going with taxes. Let's say you make $1,000 on YouTube per month and you go with like 400 per month multiplied by 12 and you're going with those taxes to the IRS and you have that money on you. Like how do you feel? It's very exciting, I'm telling you that. It's like all of a sudden you're enjoying life a lot more. You're very aware of your surrounding. You develop the eye of Shiva. It's like you're opening the third eye. So you're going there, right? And then you like put the stacks of cash. But this was years ago. Now you can pay with card. That's fine. You can pay with card. You still have to stay in line though. There's a lot of people who want to pay taxes. And you gotta stay in this big ass line that is sometimes so long it actually goes out of the institution. And then you have the pleasure of speaking with a lady that literally hates to see you. Like, she is the most displeased lady in the world that you're there. You don't want to be there. It seems that she doesn't want to be there either, but you have business to do with her. And then it's like signing the documents and the papers and everything. And I'm like, wow, so there can be a way to avoid this? It's like, in Finland? Like, is that the case? Like, they come to your door? Like, the government comes to your door so you can pay taxes? Is that a thing? Like, well, no. Look, I can't believe it. This is exactly... Now I understand how my parents used to feel when we had a relative who was the captain of a ship and he would manage to travel. And obviously, traveling outside the Iron Curtain back then was very difficult, but some people could do it. And he would come back and he would tell us, it's like, look, I've been to this wonderful place in the West and they had television 24/7 and more than 2 channels. And they also had electricity nonstop. No one believed them. And it's like, the same way, I feel the same. I don't think that this is how it's like in Finland. I genuinely like do not believe that like the tax man comes to your house and asks you if your business is doing fine and you can pay him. Like you can actually have a card and here you go, sir. It's just like, wow. So people from Finland, if you're in my chat, please let me know. I'm really curious about this.